everybody and welcome back to a new video on my channel. My name's Leora and I talk on here about books, reading, writing and sometimes other stuff as well. Today I'm finally doing another bookshelf tour. I'm really excited to show you guys my updated shelves. I think the last time I did a bookshelf tour was in 2020 or 2019, so it's definitely been a while. This is one of those videos that I just keep putting off because I keep being like, no, the shelves are not ready, I'm not ready to film the bookshelf tour. And then next to that, there's also this thing that has happened with my bookshelves. And this thing is basically that there are just piles of books over my entire apartment. It's not like there's like one set library, it's just piles and piles of books absolutely everywhere, in literally every corner. So I guess the good news is that those of you that really wanted to see an apartment tour are sort of getting that a little bit as well, just because my books are like in every corner of the apartment. The way I'm going to be doing this, I'm not going to be showing you every single book in my collection because I feel that would take a very, very long time. I don't want this video to end up being quite boring. I just want to show you guys what is on the shelves and like all the books in my collection and just like show you guys a few beautiful additions, you know, and books that really stand out to me or trinkets that really mean something to me and tell you like a little bit about the stories behind them but not show every single separate book. So my plan is to start with the two big shelves in my bedroom, which are those you see most frequently in my videos, and then I think we're going to move to like the little piles of books out in my bedroom because there are quite a few of those as well. I think like 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4. And then after that we're going to move over to the living room, show you guys the piles there, and then I have like a little reading corner set up in the living room as well with like a lot of books on the windowsill and some books on some shelves that I have over there in the living room. So I'm really excited to show you guys my whole collection. I'm very thankful that I get to collect so many books and read so many books and, you know, make books my work. So that's just really wonderful. If you would like to see like sort of the progress of my shelves, you can always check out my previous bookshelf tour, which I filmed like 2-3 years ago now, and see how they were looking back then, and then pop on back to this one. Do whatever you please. Without any further ado, let's just get right into it. I'm really excited to show you guys. Okay, so like I said, I wanted to start off with the shelves in my bedroom. I've got two Billy bookshelves here. These are the ones that I've had for the longest time. I think when I moved into this apartment, I found both of them on Marktplaats, which is like sort of a Dutch eBay. And, you know, I think I paid like 30 euros for both of them together. I didn't have a lot of money when I was moving in. Not that I'm rich now, but I think if I would get new bookshelves, it wouldn't have to be like the cheapest ones I could find like I did back then. So, you know, if I could choose again, I would not choose white bookshelves, I think. But for now, it looks kind of nice and light, you know, in the room, and I'm not too mad about it. And I think I decorated them in a really nice way, so they still feel like sort of personal to me, you know, like a bookshelf I really enjoy. These are the two bookshelves that I've got in here now. And the thing is, there's like some panels missing in the back, so there's like holes in the back of the bookshelves. Again, I didn't have a lot of money, so I got the cheapest bookshelves I could find. So basically what I did to cover up some of the holes in these shelves is I put like sort of fantasy maps and like frames and like as many books as possible in front of the holes in the bookshelves so that you don't see them anymore. So that's basically what I did to solve that. Back then my book collection wasn't as extensive as it is now that like booktube and book reviewing is my job as well. So I did a lot of like books facing outward in the beginning as well to sort of like make sure people didn't see the holes in the back of the bookshelves. So these two bookshelves are also the most organized bookshelves out of all the books in my apartment, and that's because these were like the original bookshelves, so they've been properly like sort of organized loosely by genre, and then also after they were sort of loosely organized by genre, they've been organized by color, just to make them look a way that I found aesthetically pleasing. But, you know, as the years went by, they're not as organized anymore. So at this point it's kind of random, but somehow I still know where each and every book is in my apartment. And I'm not sure how I do it. It must be a sort of superpower, but it works for me, you know, so that's the system. So in terms of this overview and decoration, first up we have this little moon hanger here that I bought at a Dutch store. It's one of my favorite things. I just think it looks sort of whimsical and cute. And then we have this fake plants. There's a lot of plants and fake plants in my apartment because I really like the look of them. So that's like the first things you sort of see when you look at my bookshelves. And let's now get into the books and like sort of more close-ups of the shelves. So starting with the top shelves over here, this shelf is basically almost all of it here is fantasy books. Most of the books in my collection are fantasy books, so I guess you'll be seeing a lot more of that. So hidden here in the corner is a special edition of an Alice in Wonderland book that I've gotten from my mother. So this is like a really special edition to me. And you might think to yourself, if it's so special, like why have you hidden it away? And that's just because of a lack of space, because beforehand this used to be like on display, but then it didn't fit anymore. That's kind of embarrassing. I would take it out to show you guys, but I know that the light bulbs are going to fall down because I've balanced them underneath, so unfortunately I will not do that at this time. But don't worry, I've got plenty of beautiful editions that I will be able to show you guys. So then the books that you see on top here and on top on this side is basically all books that I wanted to unhaul at some point, but I still haven't done it. And I know that is really ridiculous, but I just have a really hard time getting rid of stuff. I'm a little tiny bit of a hoarder. I really love my trinkets and my books, and you know, I always keep having this idea in the back of my mind, which is just like, one day I want to have like a big library and I want everybody to be able to find something in there to read. So all these books that are maybe not really my taste anymore, or that I got for school or something, you know, maybe other people will really love them when I have my little library one day. And I know that's really ridiculous, but anyway. So here we have a lot of Robin Hobb, Philip Pullman. Then here's a bunch of witch books. There's also some romance and crime in here, just because, like I said, it's not organised as great as it once was. Then here's a random Sarah J Maas book that didn't go with the rest of the series because it didn't look as beautiful with the rest of them. And then this Buddha is a little statue that I got from my grandmother, and this is one that I got from the same grandmother after she passed away. She was really special to me, we were really close. And then here I've got like one of those fairy loot books, and it's got a bunch of jewellery inside it. So it's basically a trinket box, a box for my trinkets. But it's one of the most beautiful ones I own, so it's definitely very cool. This little Miss Angel is in front of it to protect it. When we move over to more of this side of the bookshelf, most of this is crime. So a lot of this is mystery books, thriller books, stuff like that. Somebody's been murdered. We're going to find out who did it, you know? There's a few here that I've turned around because the spines didn't look aesthetically pleasing to me. I know that for some people my bookshelf might be like their worst nightmare because it's so focused on the way it looks, but it works for me, like it's functional for me, so you know, and since it's my bookshelf. And then here I've got some Agatha Christie that I found at the thrift store. I love Agatha Christie, especially like her more sort of later works because they're even more sort of silly, which I really enjoy. And then Truly Devious, which used to be one of my favourite series. I haven't read it in a really long time. And then up here is more books that I really need to unhaul that I still haven't, you know, but they look cute, so I guess it's fine. Then moving downwards, this is one of my favourite shelves of my entire collection. Not entirely sure why, I just think it looks really nice. So in the left corner, you can see my Harry Potter books sort of, you know, hidden away because I still kept them out of like a sort of, I don't know, nostalgia maybe, but I don't support J.K. Rowling, and you know, so they've sort of been hidden away because I don't want to accidentally promote them on my YouTube channel. And so I've put in a list with a beautiful, I think it's a Caravaggio painting in front of it. In the middle is a little planter that my mother has made. As some of you may know, if you followed me, my mum is a ceramics artist and she makes loads of amazing cool ceramics, mugs, planters, stuff like that. So here's one of her works on display on my shelves. And then here I've got some V.E. Schwab, some Neil Gaiman, one of my favourite authors, and then of course another witchy story collection. And then here there's more fantasy books, and there's also this classic works from women writers, which is one of my favourite books I own. It's absolutely stunning. It's just so beautiful. It's I can't even describe in words to you like how beautiful I find this copy. And it also has these golden sprayed edges, and the inside is stunning. I got this for my birthday from a friend, and it's just, oh my god, it's absolutely beautiful. I haven't read a whole lot in it. I've read some of the classics that are in here, but I haven't really specifically read from this edition. But I really want to because it's so stunning, and there's definitely some more classics in here that I really want to read and discover. So that's on display here as well. And then in the back there's a Sarah J Maas Court of Thorns and Roses poster, which is not really accurate to the things I read anymore, but you know, it's still there and it's covering the holes in the bookshelf, so it's all good. The next shelf is another shelf that I really adore, but especially because of the little gnome living on this shelf. He's so cute. So this is one of my favourite things out of my whole collection, and it's this little sort of gnome book. I'll show a close up to you guys. He's got like a little window and he's living inside my shelves, you know, it's got a little light that you can turn on, and it's just, it's so adorable. And if you open it up, actually, you can read like a little story about the gnome living inside the book, which makes it even cuter. So one of my favourite things on my shelves, it makes them look like so whimsical and adorable. So I really enjoy that being on display here. Then here we've got some more fantasy books that I really love. More fantasy books and more fantasy books. Who is surprised? Nobody. Then this is another planter that I really adore. I think it really gives off like the sort of dark academia vibes. And a little pumpkin that is supposed to only be out there during the fall time, but then I guess I forgot. And also I kind of enjoy sort of the woodland feel of all the plants and the pumpkins and the mushrooms and stuff. So I guess I've just kept them on and now they're an all year round thing, sort of. Another really beautiful book that I've got on here is Leigh Bardugo's Rule of Wolves. It's just so stunning. Look at that. Still haven't read this, which is really embarrassing because I got it like very quickly after it came out and then I just never picked it up. You know, I guess that's what you get for being a mood reader. And underneath here are some more books. Like I think one of them is from my dad, so I'm actually supposed to give it back, but it's been here for so long, he probably forgot he owned it. So yeah, that's the way it goes. I've decided to move over back to the other bookshelf just to make it easier on myself with the tripod. So on this shelf, this used to be my sci-fi collection, but as you can see, it's broadened out to be like my sort of everything at once collection because there's many different things on this shelf. So on the left, we see a bunch of sci-fi books, and then there's a Stephen King book, and then there's time travel short stories, then there's more sci-fi, and then there's some cozy fantasy and sci-fi, and then there's more sci-fi. And then we get to Jane Austen, which is really random, and Ken Follett, which I really, really, really want to pick up. And then one of my favourite Dutch fantasy writers, Rima Ori, in Het Vervloekte Hart. This is also a beautiful edition. It's got sprayed edges and everything. It's really stunning. And this is especially cool because Dutch books don't often get like editions that are as stunning as this one. It's also got some art on the inside. I really, really need to pick this up so badly. This candle is from a candle company, which doesn't exist anymore, but it was by like a sort of friend of mine. So I thought that was really cute. And then this is my little globe. I think I found that on like a market or something. Lots of the stuff around my house has been thrifted or found on flea markets. Then The Starless Sea, Legends and Lattes, one of my favourite books. And some random middle grade that has just stood here, not entirely sure why. Now moving down another shelf, this is what used to be my contemporary shelf. So like everything that wasn't fantasy. And looking at it now, it's still going pretty strong, and I think most of this is contemporary. So we've got a lot of romance, we've got some essays over here with Nora Ephron, some more romance. This is time travel, so I'm not entirely sure, but it's you know, it's got the contemporary vibe, I guess. And then we've got some feminist books, some more contemporary reads, poetry. Like I said, it's just a bit mixed up, but this is fun to show you guys. As some of you may know, I work as an illustrator and I've illustrated this cover for an indie author, so that was really cool. So I always love showing people that specifically. You know, the weirdest thing is happening right now. I've given loads of my dates a bookshelf tour, and I know that is so silly, but you know, books are my passion. So when somebody I'm dating comes to my house, I usually give them a bookshelf tour, so I'm getting like weird flashbacks to my dates right now. Oh god. Here are some more contemporary books. There's loads of books in here that I really want to read. This one I've been put off by a little bit because so many people gave it bad reviews. Then moving down to this shelf, as you can see, it's a little bit crowded on here. Yeah, these guys are definitely struggling for their space, and then there's some random candles on it as well. Yeah, my lower shelves have definitely been a bit more neglected. They're not as beautiful as the rest of them. So there's some more feminist fiction on here, Shrill by the New West, and there's some more romance, more contemporary, some Dutch literature, some classics. It's a bit of a mix. And then here we've got some more fantasy and some middle grade fantasy. A lot of these are dark academia, but then we've also got an essay collection, some more fantasy, and what is behind here? More contemporary books. So there's definitely a lot of stuff going on this shelf. Specifically, I'd love to show you guys this cover by Victoria Lee because it's so stunning and I really want to read this one. It's a dark academia and I think it's also sapphic, so it's very exciting. So I think this shelf is also particularly cute, but mostly because of the mushrooms, to be honest, and my little moon candles. So on the left, we have some more fantasy books. We have, I think that is actually a fairy tale collection. I got that from my mother when she was journeying in Norway, I believe. Not sure where she picked it up, but this is also a stunning edition. It's really, really pretty. And you know, it feels special to me because my mother gave it to me. And I think it's also got some illustrations in here. I'm pretty sure, but now I just have to find one. Yes, so that's really nice and really lovely. And it's got a beautiful spine as well, which I can always appreciate. Then here we have some more Sarah J Maas. You know, that's what I started reading when I got back into reading. Then here we have my little mushrooms. When I'm on markets with my art shop and, you know, my work, I usually take my little mushrooms with me because I want my stand to have like sort of a magical fairy vibe. And then usually I'm too lazy to put them back into storage, so the mushrooms end up back on my bookshelves. Here's some more fantasy books. This is one of my favourite YA fantasy series that I read when I was still a teenager, and this is one of my favourite series of all time. It's very dusty, I've just noticed. Oh my god. This is Ruby Red by Kirsten Gier, who's German, and this is the Dutch edition, Eindeloos Verliefd. And this is basically like a time travel romance series that I was obsessed with as a teenager. So I'm really happy I still have them. I think I reread them every like 2 to 3 years, and I always have the best time because they're like so nostalgic to me. We've moved back to the left bookshelf, and this is the lowest shelf that's actually still got books on them. The one below this has got like 2 baskets with just like random stuff. Not that interesting. But on this shelf we've got a random perfume box that I'll remove now. And then we've got a lot of my sketchbooks. As some of you may know, I went to art school, I studied film, but I did a lot of illustration as well, and now I work as an illustrator next to being a booktuber and book reviewer. So I have my web shop with my illustrations and stuff, and this is where a lot of my illustrations and artworks find their origin, their home. So a lot of them start out in my sketchbooks. I think the first sketchbook in this row of sketchbooks is this one, and I think this dates back to when I was 15 years old. So it's really funny to see the illustrations in there and to see like how much I've grown. This is actually where my YouTube channel started, with this illustration. So it's really cute to see. Yes, I've been on YouTube for almost 10 years now. So that's the first journal, and then moving upward, I think this is the last one up here, and the current one is also almost filled. So I'm not sure where I'm gonna put the next one when it's all filled up. So this is one of my more recent journals. There's some really bad poetry in there, lots of paintings and illustrations. Lots of collaging and random stuff. It's basically my outlet and the way I start on my artworks. If you guys ever want to see like more videos about art journaling and stuff like that, I am considering making them at some point, but I'm just not sure if people are interested about it because like this channel is mainly focused on books, so you know, it feels a little bit off-brand. But maybe I can do it on Instagram if people would like to see it. And then to the left we have a bit of my graphic novel collection. These are the Heartstopper graphic novels, and then on here there's some more graphic novels that I really love. We've got Paper Girls, one of my favourites, and then we've got In the Shadow of the Throne, which I still have to read as well. It's a fantasy graphic novel that I'm really excited about. And then over here we've got some of my magazines and some more graphic novels hidden in between there. So that's the shelf. These are the last 2 shelves of my big Billy bookshelves. And basically it's more fantasy, random thriller put in there, and then more fantasy, and even more fantasy. Here's some random books that didn't have anywhere else to go, I guess. I've got Sign Here by Claudia Lux that I really want to read because I've heard it has like the humorous magical bureaucracy that I really enjoy. Then I've got a book on being more sustainable by a Dutch author. Then I've got The Witcher. This is my tarot set. It's a Dali tarot. It's really beautiful. Down here I've got some more old books from back in the day. These are some of the books when I minored in journalism and like my school books. And then here I've got some Percy Jackson, Roald Dahl, some more Alice Oseman, and some more random sci-fi that is also upside down. Not entirely sure why. And some more Dutch fantasy and some more random fantasy books. And then here I've got a bunch of my sort of, how do you call those, book sleeves that I use when I travel and I'm taking my books. And then down here there's more magazines, some cookbooks, and then also another random fantasy book that I stacked down there, and I'm not entirely sure why, but it is. Then we finally got into the first of the random book piles that are scattered all throughout my apartment. So lots of these books are books that I loan out a lot, so they're books that sort of frequently go in and out of the apartment, which is why they haven't really got like a spot. So there's some anti-racism books in here that I've already read that I loan out, and there's then like some fantasy that I really enjoy that I love to loan out. This is sci-fi. I still haven't read this myself, but I did loan it to somebody, not sure why. And then here is some of my Book of the Month books that I've been stacked here a little bit ungraciously, but that's just because, you know, at some point I was getting so many of these for work and I didn't know where to put them, but I was still interested in reading some of them. I really love the Book of the Month hardbacks just because they're so beautiful and, you know, they just look stunning and you get such a nice hardback edition of a book, and one day I want to like put them all on a beautiful shelf without the dust jackets and I think it will look stunning. But for now, they're scattered in piles. Now this is actually my air conditioning unit that I've used as a sort of nightstand because I don't really have a nightstand. I only have like windowsills and this. It's not on for most of the year, only when it's really hot outside. It's not really common in the Netherlands to have air conditioning, like barely any houses have it unless you're like rich or something. There's a bunch of books on it, so I was like, you know, let's show it. So on top we have Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett, which is one of the most stunning books I own right now. So excited to go read this. And then behind it is a book which is one of my favourite books in my entire collection. I have like sort of a separate collection of art books, and most of them I won't be showing in this video because they're like on my desk, and you know, I've got plenty of books to show already as it is. But this is The Art of Kiki's Delivery Service, and it's a film by Hayao Miyazaki. One of my favourite films of all time. I'm a big Studio Ghibli fan, and this book is just filled with like stunning art and concept art of the film and screenshots of the film and like artwork made in the film, and it's just so beautiful and it's one of my favourite possessions. I believe I also got this for a birthday. I think my mum gave it to me, but still adore it, really happy I own it. And then over here we've got some of the books on my windowsill. Most of these are Dutch books. There's some Book of the Month books in there as well. This is a Dutch book about Mary Shelley, which I really want to read. This is one of my favourite poetry collections. I think this is the Song of Achilles. I still really need to read this so badly, but you know, got so much stuff I still want to read. And this lovely thing that I got from a fairy loot that I still really adore to show for my books. Here's some more books over here. All books I still want to read that I've just found their spot over here. And then this is the last pile of books that I've got in my bedroom. So most of these are books that I also wanted to unhaul, so hence why they're like turned around. And then these are some books that I still really want to read. This is Cackle by Rachel Harris, which is like a witchy read. This is All About Love by Bell Hooks, which is one of the coolest, most interesting feminist reads I still really want to pick up. I think it's about like love and the way we view it as a society and stuff like that. So really interesting. And this is the rest of my sort of windowsill slash nightstand. It's got some art and this cute frilly lamp that I thrifted like everything in my house. And what is that? Oh, it's me. We're moving on to the living room now. So as you walk into the living room, there's immediately a pile of books over there and to this side as well. So this is my web shop cabinet. So all the stuff for my web shop is in here. And on top of the web shop cabinet, there's of course more books because, you know, what else would be on there? So this is just a little random collection of books. I thought that looked nice on here. This is one of my favourite short story collections by Zadie Smith. I think beautiful writing, wonderful. Then The Priory of the Orange Tree, wonderful fantasy read. I think the second one has just gotten out. Not sure if I'll read it because this book was such a huge commitment for me, so I don't know if I'll make it to the second one, to be honest. I'm already proud I read that one. Okay, then here we've got some more books. I mean, is anybody surprised? Here's some more Book of the Month books that are basically now holding my plants, which is kind of embarrassing. But again, a bunch of those books I've already read or I still want to read at some point, but they're not my priority, which is why they're like that. Then this is some more of my art books. This is my statue. Her name is Helena. And then this is an edition of The Picture of Dorian Gray. It's absolutely stunning, this edition. This is actually going to be a gift for a friend of mine. So if you're watching this, then just don't realise it's for you, please. And then this is some more of my art books. This is a Rubens book that I really adore. This is a really special book actually, because this is one of the first literary magazines that my own writing has been published in. Really excited. It was for sale in a couple of bookstores as well. So this is the Galaxy Gazette, which is published by my writing school. So I mean, but it's still cool that I got published in there with a little article. So I guess that's this corner of the bookshelf tour. Moving forward, we've got this pile of books over here. And these are all books that I've wanted to unhaul, but I still haven't unhauled. And I basically put them over here just to put them away for a bit. But then I was like, you know what, that actually looks quite nice, so I'm just going to keep them there. So lots of these are young adult books that I really adored back in the day. And now we finally arrived to my little reading corner. So this is my lovely chair that is also from the thrift store. And then over here we've got all my windowsill books. I know I'm probably going to receive loads of comments saying like that the sun is going to damage them, and I am aware. I'm just not really sure where else to put them right now, if I'm being completely honest. And I also don't really mind destroying my books. I know this is a nightmare to a bunch of readers right now, and I'm so sorry, but I really enjoy writing in my books, annotating my books. I don't mind if they get wet, if they get food stains. I think it's lovely to have a book that is sort of well read and, you know, has really lived as a book. So I really enjoy that. So I don't mind the sunlight potentially damaging them a little bit. And most of these are with their spines to me on purpose so that only the back gets bleached or darkened by the sun, so I don't mind that as much. Again, this is a very random collection of books. What I do notice is that especially in my bedroom there's a lot of young adult books, because that is what I initially started reading when I got back into reading, and then the collections in my living room is more sort of recent things that I've bought and read, and a lot of this is adult fiction, so that's definitely really interesting. I mean, not all of it is adult fiction. We've also got Kaj's Spijkerboek, A Crusade in Jeans, which is one of my favourite childhood books, Inkheart, Heart from Inks, which is also one of my favourite childhood books. We've got some more Robin Hobbs and Joan Didion and Dolly Alderton. Then over here we've got Tomorrow, Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zavin, which I really, really want to read as well. And then here's some more fantasy. The Secret History. This is Book Lovers by Emily Henry, which has been tabbed a lot because I adored it. And then this is Possession by Iris Byatt. It's a beautiful edition. I still really, really need to read that one. I bought this at a market, I think. So yeah, lots of books in here I still really want to read. This is Gallant by V.E. Schwab, and it's, again, such a stunning edition. I'm obsessed with this edition. It's the Dutch special edition, and it's just really, really beautiful. Yes, I adore it. And then if we move on up from this corner, you can see that there's some more books and some more bookshelves as well. So these are basically my emergency bookshelves that me and my dad put in when it became clear that I really needed some more shelf space. I know the books on the radiator situation is not perfect right now. You know, maybe if I start putting my heating back on again, I'll have to think about that. Over here, we've got some more fantasy. As you can see, we've got some destroyed Patrick Rothfuss books over here. To be honest, I bought it this way, so you can't blame me. I bought it at a secondhand store for really cheap. Then we've got Babel, some more fantasy I really, really want to read. This is one of my recent favourite reads, In the Company of Witches. It was so adorable. A very cute, cozy mystery. Then we've got some Deckled Edges here as well. I think this is an edition of My Lady Jane, which is one of my favourite books as well. It's like sort of historical fiction, really weird, really funny, magical. And then this is Dear Dolly by Dolly Alderton. It's been tabbed a lot because I've really enjoyed it. Over here we've got a bunch of the most beautiful books in my collection, and that's why they're also on display in the living room. Got some more random mushrooms. I think I'm going to use these for my stands at markets as well. And then we've got this edition from the Luminaries that is so beautiful. It's like one of the most beautiful books I own. Then we've got The Betrayals by Bridget Collins, and behind here is another stunning edition of The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. Can you tell I love Oscar Wilde? Ugh, it just looks like a fairy tale book to me. I adore it. So stunning. Then we've got Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which was one of my favourite books of, I think, last year. And then here we've got my very special edition of Radio Silence, which is also one of my favourite books of all time. Back in the day when I got back into reading, Radio Silence just meant a lot to me, and it's how I discovered Ellis Oseman and their wonderful writing. And you know, if you put a lot of pressure on yourself and you're not sure what you're doing with your life, this is such a good book. This is one of the first editions of Radio Silence, like one of the first ones when the book came out. I think it's also one of the first prints, so that is really cool. And then I got custom sprayed edges done on it, actually. So that means a lot to me, and it's just one of my favourite books of all time. And then we've got a special edition of Crooked Kingdom, which is also stunning, also one of my favourite books of all time. I have, I think, 3 editions of this book, which is really embarrassing. I have the regular book in Dutch, in English, and then I have the special edition. This is definitely like a little miscellaneous collection of books up here. There's some more Harry Potter books. Both of them were gifts. I don't support J.K. Rowling. Then next to that we have The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. We have some Edgar Allan Poe and some more Six of Crows novels. That's also a special edition. And then there's some more random books that I didn't know where to put, so they've ended up on that shelf. Now this is actually, I think, the final book-filled corner of my apartment. Yes, lots of books, but we're almost there. So first up here in the back we have more Oscar Wilde's. I know, it's slightly wild how many Oscar Wilde books I have. Haha, well, I'm so funny. We also have this edition of the Atlas 6, which is a self-published edition. I'm really happy I got this one because I think it's so much more beautiful than the new one. I do want to continue reading this, but I feel like I should probably read like the non-self-published edition first because I know that they changed some things. And I can't get myself to do that. So then here's some books I'm currently reading in this little pile. They always end up in this corner of my apartment, not sure why. And then this is a mug that my mother made. I don't clean up my mugs after I've drank my drinks, which I should, but I don't, so it's here. And this is again a really random pile of books. We have a bunch of Book of the Month books, different genres. Some of them are fantasy, some of them are contemporary. Then we have a big bind up of Oscar Wilde novels. And then we have Virginia Woolf. This is a writer's diary. Then we have some more A.S. Byatt. More Virginia Woolf. Then we have a book written by my friend, Dessel and Zveva. This is a book about abuse. It's really heavy. I still need to read it. I really want to support my friend. So I don't know when I'll read that, when I'm like ready for it, because I know it's a heavy read. And then moving to the other side, we've got a bunch of like little books that I've hidden away on that little platform. We've got My Body by Emily Ratajkowski, which I've recently read, majorly enjoyed. If you want to see a review of that, I'll link the video in which I talked about it up here somewhere on the screen. Then we've got another essay collection by Pandora Sykes, which is also about finding yourself. I'm very predictable. I just love to read books about people who are also lost in life. Then we've got a bind-up of Shakespeare books. I'll show that to you. Definitely really, really beautiful. And then we've also got Lonely Castle in the Mirror, which I also want to show to you because it's also one of my favourites. So this is that Shakespeare collection. I think it's an old library collection. It's so cute. It's also got some random annotations in it. And that's what I love most about buying like secondhand books. Like receiving sort of another story with the book, the story of the person before you who read it, which is just really nice. And then this is my edition of The Lonely Castle in the Mirror by Mizuki Tsujimura. One of my favourite fantasy books. So cozy and beautiful and I just adore it. And then here, the book up front is the second book in the Before the Coffee Gets Cold trilogy at this point, I think. I still need to read that second book, but I'm definitely very excited to read it at some point. So I guess those were all of my shelves. Okay, so that was my bookshelf tour. I really hope you guys enjoyed this and enjoyed seeing what my shelves look like. Definitely let me know in the comments down below what your dream library is. I would love to hear. I am very, very in love with my little book-filled apartment full of weird secondhand stuff. But one day I would adore to have like sort of sage green or dark green or a very brown, like dark brown type of shelf with like a ladder. That is my dream. But for now and in general, I'm just really happy and thankful with what I've got. I would love to hear what is your dream library, dream book collection. Let me know in the comments down below. And thank you for watching. I hope to see all of you in my next video. Bye.